Galaxy S26 Ultra and its headline feature, plus an early demo of the redesigned Bixby and some genuinely good pricing news for anyone eyeing this phone. Let's dive in with the first official look, fresh leaks, and what they mean if you're considering Samsung's next flagship. What's up, everyone? S here, and this is the front of the Galaxy S26 Ultra. This isn't a random render or fan concept. It comes straight from Samsung's own One UI 8.5 firmware assets. And yes, the punch-hole camera is noticeably larger than on previous Ultra models. From a pure design standpoint, that might look like a step backward at first glance. But there's a real reason. The selfie camera is getting wider. Samsung is increasing the field of view from 80 degrees to 85 degrees, which means wider group selfies, better vlogging framing, and more room in video calls. That extra coverage is exactly why the punch hole had to grow. Quick note, the image you're seeing is a reference to illustrate the difference. It's not an actual camera sample. The bezels look slightly thinner than on the S25 Ultra, which helps the screen feel more immersive. You can clearly see more rounded corners this time, and the frame edges are softer for a more comfortable in-hand feel during long sessions. There's also a subtle curved finish on the S Pen clicker end, lining up with earlier CAD leaks and adding a more refined premium look. The unit shown appears to be the silver variant, and Samsung will also offer purple and black colorways to match the wider S26 lineup. Now, the same firmware leak also reveals the Galaxy S26 Ultra's headline feature, a new hardware-level privacy display. You can enable it from settings or via a quick settings toggle, and you can set conditions for when it activates automatically using the edit conditions for turning on controls. Samsung even included an animation showing exactly how it behaves. When you're looking straight at the phone, everything appears normal, bright, sharp, and color accurate. But the moment you view it from the top, bottom, or either side, the display dims significantly. The idea is simple and extremely practical. It makes it much harder for people around you to peek at sensitive information. Whether you're commuting, flying, sitting in a lecture hall, or working in a coffee shop or open plan office, because this feature relies on a new Flex Magic OLED panel. It's exclusive to the S26 Ultra. Older Ultras won't get it, and neither will the S26 or S26 Plus, at least for now. As of today, the Galaxy S26 Ultra is positioned to be the only smartphone in the world with this kind of built-in, off-axis privacy display tech, which is a standout differentiator for business users, travelers, and anyone who values on-the-go privacy. Let's talk Bixby. We've got a hands-on demo of the redesigned assistant, and Samsung is revamping it across both UI and functionality. This time, Bixby is powered by Perplexity for search and information retrieval. Samsung's push to make the assistant genuinely useful for real-time answers. Visually, it looks a lot like ChatGPT and Gemini, a clean chat interface with a text box at the bottom, a hamburger menu on the top left, and a new chat button on the top right. Your previous conversations live inside that menu, so you can pick up right where you left off. Functionally, you can do most of what you'd expect from a modern AI assistant. Ask questions, get summaries, pull references, and follow up naturally. Based on this leak, Bixby doesn't yet seem to see your screen or access your camera feed. Both ChatGPT and Gemini can upload images, and Gemini can even view your screen through screen sharing to help troubleshoot or guide you through steps. Bixby doesn't appear to be there yet, but that could change by retail. You can also talk to it hands-free, and while the voice still sounds a bit robotic in this build, that's the kind of polish Samsung typically improves closer to launch. Here's where Samsung holds a real advantage: system-level integration. You can ask Bixby something like, "Is my battery protection turned on?" And it will return a direct, device-aware answer and even take you to the right setting. That's something Gemini can't do natively on a Samsung phone. If Samsung keeps pushing on device control, settings, and actions, There's a ton of potential to make Bixby the fastest way to manage your phone. Side note, it's kind of wild that in day-to-day device control, Bixby now feels arguably more practical than Siri, and before you ask, Gemini isn't going anywhere. It will still be available on the Galaxy S26 Ultra, so you'll have more AI choices on the same device. Under the hood, expect the usual flagship silicon split, Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 or Exynos 2600, depending on your region. Performance, efficiency, and AI acceleration will be front and center with these chips, and the camera island design remains a clean signature look for the Ultra line. All signs continue to point to a February 25, 2026 launch window, with Samsung leaning into a polished One UI 8.5 experience out of the box. Now for pricing. A few days ago, I mentioned Samsung was undecided on S26 lineup pricing. Component costs, especially memory, have gone up, making these phones more expensive to manufacture. Samsung had two choices: pass the cost on the buyers or absorb it and take a profit hit. According to a new report out of Korea, Samsung made the call to absorb the increase. Prices are staying the same as last year: $800 for the Galaxy S26, $1,000 for the Galaxy S26 Plus, and $1,300 for the Galaxy S26 Ultra. The same report mentions the launch date. Samsung is expected to unveil the S26 lineup on February 25th in San Francisco, with units hitting stores a couple of weeks later in March. The report doesn't fully explain the slight delay versus previous years, but it likely comes down to memory supply constraints and last-minute lineup adjustments to lock in features like the privacy display. Quick recap. First official front look comes from One UI 8.5 firmware. Assets, this is straight from Samsung's own. Software, larger punch hole because the selfie. Camera moves from an 80 to an 85 field of view, better group selfies, wider vlogs, and more context in video calls. Thinner bezels, rounder corners, softened frame edges, and a refined S Pen clicker finish, improved ergonomics, and a more premium in-hand feel. Colors shown: silver, with purple and black also in the lineup for a clean, classic flagship palette. Headline feature: privacy display powered by Flex Magic. Old dims aggressively off-axis to block prying eyes in public spaces. Privacy display is exclusive to the Galaxy S26 Ultra at launch. Not coming to S26 or S26 Plus right now. Redesigned Bixby powered by Perplexity chat-style UI. Conversation history, voice input, and web-backed answers with real-time context. Still early on screen camera access for Bixby. ChatGPT and Gemini currently lead on multimodal features, but that could evolve by retail. System-level integration is Bixby's killer advantage: fast device control, settings checks, and status queries without digging through menus. Gemini remains available on S26 Ultra, more AI choice on device, so you can pick what works best for each task. Chips: Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 or Exynos 2600. Region dependent for next-gen performance. Efficiency and on-device AI acceleration. Pricing holds: $800 S26, $1,000 S26 Plus, $1,300 S26 Ultra. Samsung absorbs higher component costs to keep price parity with last year. Expected reveal: February 25, 2026 in San Francisco. Retail availability likely in March after the Unpacked event.